Kaya po nagiging importante na kailangan po natin munang pag-aralan hanggang saan eksakto pong coordinates ba ng ating West Philippine Sea. Dito po sa binabanggit nating mga batas sa ngayon, kung titingnan natin, hindi po natin sila magagamit, Mr. President. Kaya napakahirap po ngayon nating sagupain yung mga pananaw na parang may nag-aangkin ng atin pero hindi pa natin ma-define kung ano talaga yung atin. Kaya po dito ako nagsisimula, Mr. President.
Mr. President, if I may be allowed, again, I don't see the point. Are we trying to say here that the arbitral ruling was erroneous, and therefore we should stop claiming what was awarded us? I don't see the logic, Mr. President. We were awarded by the arbitral tribunal. It is ours. Now, is the gentleman saying the tribunal was mistaken, and therefore what was awarded to us should not have been awarded to us because of these problematic, well, at least from the point of view of the good senator, problematic definition of what the West Philippine Sea is? I beg to disagree, Mr. President. Besides, the arbitral ruling did not touch on the issues being raised today by the good senator. And even if it did, assuming it did, hypothetically, we were still awarded, and we were our claim and our rights were recognized, and China's rights were rejected. Are we saying here now, Mr. President, that we have to go back to the arbitral ruling, to the tribunal, present a new definition of what constitutes West Philippine Sea, so that they can amend or they can set aside the award? Please, I would appreciate being clarified.
Let me clarify, Mr. President. Are we getting the impression that the West Philippine Sea was awarded to us by the arbitral tribunal on a silver platter? Sinabi po niya kung nasaan yung ating mga coordinates?
Well, Mr. President,
tayo po ay merong entitlement sa 200...
Again, Mr. President, assuming that these have to be defined, I think we can define that by Philippine law. If, assuming, I'm without conceding that there is no definition, because we believe it has been properly defined, and
That is not entirely correct, Mr. President, and I beg to disagree. The reason why I'm asking the gentleman for the metes and bounds to our claim on our maritime rights is because until today, I would like to believe that there has not been any specific computation or coordinates of the West Philippine Sea. I'd like to ask if is the limit of our exclusive economic zone is specifically the 200 nautical miles from our archipelagic baseline, or is it provided under Administrative Order Number 29, the westernmost boundary of the Calayan Island Group, as defined under Presidential Decree 5096, or is it defined under Republic Act 9522 of 2009? Or Republic Act number 12064 of 2024. The question, Mr. President, is very significant because we would like to specifically determine the extent of our West Philippine Sea. Because if we are unable to do that, baka mahirapan po tayong ipagtanggol hanggang saan ang sa atin. So can we at least have an answer?
Mr. President, hindi na natin kailangang ipagtanggol ang nasa atin. Napagpasahan na ng International Arbitral Tribunal. There is nothing to defend. It has been resolved in our favor. What we have to now defend and uphold is the ruling.
Mr. President, I think the gentleman from Pampanga and Quezon City is looking at the arbitral award as it is. I'm not saying that, of course, we won the EEZ, but it is still incumbent for our country, Mr. President, to define our West Philippine Sea. Because until now, as we will discuss later with the indulgence of the gentleman, we need to look at the coordinates, Mr. President. I'm only asking whether the basis of the West Philippine Sea is the 200 nautical miles from the archipelagic baselines. Because as the defense establishment say it, Mr. President, it is the approximation of our exclusive economic zone. Our exclusive economic zone is 200 nautical miles from our archipelagic baseline. So, can we assume that are we proceeding from there? Or are we defining the extent of our WPS from Executive or Administrative Order number 29, Presidential Decree 1596, Republic Act 9522, o Republic Act 12064? Kasi kailangan po natin ma-define muna, Mr. President. Totoo po na ang arbitral award, in-invalidate po yung 9-dash line. Tama po yun. Pero hanggang doon lang, hindi naman sinabi ng arbitral award kung hanggang saan ang hangganan ng ating West Philippine Sea. That's why I am asking the gentleman kung alam po niya kung saan tayo magsisimula para sa ganon, i-determine natin, i-ascertain natin ang extent ng ating West Philippine Sea.
Yes, if I may reiterate, Mr. President, we see the point being raised by Senator Marcoleta. He mentioned Administrative Order number 29, which defines the West Philippine Sea. It was issued in 2012. On the other hand, in addition, we have the Philippine Maritime Zones Act, or Republic Act number 12064, enacted in 2024. These are government records that recognize the West Philippine Sea in official documents, and under the UNCLOS, which grants the Philippines the EEZ extending to up to 200 nautical miles from its coastline. This is the law. There is an administrative order, and of course there is UNCLOS. It is the position of this representation, Mr. President, that all three, UNCLOS, Administrative Order number 29, issued in 2012, and Republic Act 12064, enacted in 2024, are sufficient to be able to establish our exclusive economic zone as well as our territorial sea, Mr. President.
So, Mr. President, if the answer is that Administrative Order number 29, which is the westernmost boundary of the Calayan Island Group, as defined under Presidential Decree 1596, is the very source of our determination of the West Philippine Sea,
Together with, Mr. President, the Philippine Maritime Zones Act, taken in conjunction with. So it's the AO 29 as well as RA 12064, and finally, UNCLOS.
Yes, Mr. President, isa-isayin lang natin. Doon muna tayo sa Administrative Order number 29, which confirmed Presidential Decree 1596. Mr. President, under PD 1596, President Marcos Sr. drew boundaries around certain features of this Spratly Island and called the enclosed area as Calayan Island Group. At that time, there was no exclusive economic zone yet under the UNCLOS. However, is the Honorable Senator aware that in 2016, the South China Sea Arbitral Tribunal declared the boundaries of the Calayan Island Group as contrary to the UN Convention of the Law of the Sea?
Well, Mr. President, I'm not familiar with the particular findings, but that is, to me, again, immaterial in the context of the award of the International Tribunal.
That will not be immaterial, Mr. President, with all due respect. Kasi nga po talagang sinisino natin, dinidetermine natin kung gagamitin po natin yung Presidential Decree 1596. Sabi po ng Arbitral Tribunal, contrary po yun sa UN Convention of the Law of the Sea. Basahin po ninyo yung Arbitral Award. Nandun po yun sa paragraphs 573 to paragraphs 576. Sabi po niya, China and the Philippines has no right to enclose the Spratly Islands with the system of archipelagic or straight baselines, as though there is a single group islands or an offshore archipelago. Yun po yung sinabi. Kaya nga po, I am pointing this out, hindi natin magagamit yung 1596, not even Administrative Order 29. Kung sasabihin naman po natin, Mr. President, yung 9522 na banggit nila, is the Honorable Senator aware that Republic Act 9522 merely defined the Philippine archipelagic baselines from which to measure the territorial sea, exclusive economic zone, and continental shelf. Yun lang po ang ginawa noong 9522. Wala po siyang kinalaman in the determination of the exact area of the West Philippine Sea. Define lang po yung mga baselines natin para doon natin kwentahin yung ating territorial sea, yung ating exclusive economic zone, at saka yung ating continental shelf. Alam natin, ang EEZ at saka continental shelf, 200 nautical miles from the baseline. Territorial sea is 12 nautical miles from the baseline. Ngayon po, Mr. President, kung halimbawa ay babanggitin natin ang Republic Act 12064, ito po yung 2024 law, ang may problema po ito Section 2 of Republic Act number 12064 defines the West Philippine Sea as follows. The maritime zones of the Philippines on the western side of the Philippine archipelago, including the Luzon Sea and the territorial seas of Bajo de Masinloc and the maritime features of the Calayan Island Group, shall collectively called the West Philippine Sea. Ano pong problema nito, Mr. President, Your Honor? Based on that definition, would the Honorable Senator agree that the westernmost limits has two elements? Yung 200 nautical mile limit of the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone and Continental Shelf, and the 12 nautical limit of the enclave territorial sea of high tide elevations of Calayan Island Group, including those outside the Philippines Exclusive Economic Zone. Hindi rin po natin magagamit yung 200 nautical mile limit, Mr. President. Bakit po? Alam po ba ng ating honorable gentleman from Pampanga and Quezon City na pag ginamit po natin yung West Philippine Sea na 200 nautical mile limit ng ating exclusive economic zone, 17 features po ng Calayan Island Group ang mawawala sapagkat wala po siya. Hindi siya na-enclose ng 200 nautical miles. Alam din po ba ng ating honorable senator that four of those features would fall outside the definition of the West Philippine Sea as occupied by the Philippines? Ito pong apat na ito ay okupado na ng ating bansa. Ngunit wala po siya sa 200 nautical miles Katulad po ng Pag-asa na tinatawag na Tito Island. It's 227 nautical miles to Palawan. Parola or Northeast K, 240.2 nautical miles to Palawan.
I don't see the...
Kota or Laita Island is 207 nautical miles to Palawan. And Lakiam K, 203.7 nautical miles to Palawan. Are you aware, Mr. President, that these features are separated by high seas? Ito pa po ang problema eh.